stay safe out here?
That is a struggle. Every day staying safe is a struggle. You have people that, they want to hate on you, and I've had many things thrown at me. I've been sleeping, I've been beat up while sleeping, I've been kicked, stomped, hit with boards, stones thrown at me, eggs. People, I'm at the lowest point in my life, and people just want to push you down even further. And that's another thing that it's hard to get over, how somebody can look at you at the lowest point of your life and want to put you down even further. How much of a person are they to want to do that to another human being?
I can't believe the night lay waste to all we'd given, but honestly, you've gotta know that this ain't living.
Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to the channel. It's your boy, Mal Lewis, AML Films. We out there. Thank you guys for tuning in today. Today we got a very special guest. Can you please introduce yourself?
My name is James McCann. They call me Jim for short.
Nice to meet you, Jim.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you. How are you doing today?
I'm hanging in there. Every day's a struggle. Some days are better than others.
I definitely agree. So where are you originally from, Jim?
Originally from Phoenixville, Pennsylvania.
Yo, shout out Phoenix, we out there.
Right outside Valley Forge, the King of Prussia Mall area.
Okay, all right. Cool. How old are you?
I'm 43.
43. Still young in my eyes. Okay, so can you please tell us a little bit about your childhood growing up, Jim?
I grew up in a trailer park. My mom, my dad, my brother, my sister, we grew up in a small trailer, 10 by 55. We didn't have much, but we loved each other, and we had a pretty good family. We would take vacations, and my dad had a cabin in upstate Pennsylvania. I was a hunter and fisher all my life, and pretty much went to school. I went to a Votech for auto mechanics. I've been pretty much a mechanic for going on 30 years now, since I was 14. I did half decent in school, I guess. If it wasn't for the homework, I would have been a better student. I just never liked to do the homework. But I was always an ace in my auto mechanics class.
So what are some of your favorite childhood memories?
A lot of them have to do with the mountains, camping. One of my biggest memories is when I was my 6th birthday. My mom and dad went up to Maine. We went up camping up Acadia National Forest. For years I had this neat little lobster like harmonica. I would sleep with the thing, and that was one of my favorite memories as a kid, was that harmonica in Maine.
Got you. Was there any drugs or violence in your household?
My dad would go off the handle a little bit sometimes. I mean, my mom never drank, never did drugs. My father was pretty much an alcoholic. I mean, he worked every day of his life. No matter how bad he felt, he went to work. He worked at Paoli Hospital for 36 years. He started out as security and then moved into maintenance, and they sent him all over the country for training. But, he would have his temper, and, I got spanked a little more than usual, but it's all part of childhood.
Right.
Made me who I am today.
Okay. So now, Jim, tell us a little bit about how you came down this narrow road.
I started doing drugs when I was probably about 17. At that point in time, the family life pretty much fell apart. I have a brother and sister. I haven't talked to my sister in almost 2 decades. She lives in California. I have a brother who used to live miles away from me. I haven't talked to him in probably 10 years. What happened, I got very depressed when I was 19 years old, and I ended up jumping off a bridge. I tried to commit suicide. I had broken my neck, my back, both my legs, cracked my sternum, fractured my skull. They told me I'd never walk again. I've had 3 back surgeries, had both hips replaced. And that kind of made me a stronger person, because having somebody tell you you can't do something is more incentive to do it. And through my early 20s, I would say, I was a drug addict. I smoked a lot of crack. An addict for quite a few years, and I cleaned myself up, and I met a woman that she owned her own business. I ran her business with her for 5 years. We were together for 5 years. I had a better family life. Started getting closer with my parents again. Let's see. I ended up doing Fed time. I went to prison in the Feds for 31 months it was called interstate commerce. I was taking stolen cars over state line. That was really the eye-opener for me in my 20s. And through my late 20s, I did really good. My last girlfriend, I met her at 29 years old. I was with her up until 2019. We were together for almost 13 years. I ended up moving in with her and her parents for a couple years after my dad passed away. That was a struggle. I lived with my parents at the time. I was taking care of them. My mom had breast cancer. My dad had all kinds of health issues. So I was not only working, I was taking them back and forth to doctor's appointments and things like that. So everything was going very good. And then my dad died at 66 suddenly. And that was pretty much the downfall of me being where I am today. My girlfriend ended up finding another boyfriend because, I went into a depression, and for years I was on painkillers for, my surgeries and things like that. And then they tried taking me off them. And I don't know if it's a typical story, but I went from legal drugs to illegal drugs, and that pretty much tore my life apart and tore my family life apart. Ripped me away from my girlfriend, her parents. I lost my house, my car, my job, and I ended up moving down here to Kensington, and that was the biggest mistake of my life. It's easy to get here, it's hard to get out. And once you start the drugs, it's a downhill roller coaster ride, because that's all you care about. And once it gets a hold of you, I've tried rehab. I've lost friends, I've lost family, and it's just a struggle every day. And then now that it's winter time, it's so hard just to move and get around with my condition. And it seems like the better I try to do, the worse off I end up getting, and it's just like an endless cycle. You can't You can break it if you want to. You got to have the willpower, but I'm finding God, finally. Bless Jesus.
Amen.
Okay, yeah, like I said, once I got down here, I got on the street in April of 2020, and I spent the spring, the summer, the fall. I went to rehab in July. I thought that was the end and I was going to get my life together, but as soon as I got out of rehab, I came right back down here and started the same process over because, boo-hoo, I felt sorry for myself because I had no family, no friends, and it just, every day I try to meet new people, but the people down here, if far and few between, are good people. But when you do find them, some of them have hearts of gold. And some of them give the shirt off your back, which they literally have. And I do the same thing. If I got extra food, extra clothing, I like to, help other people out. It makes me feel good to help other people. Even though my situation isn't exactly the best, but it's every day is just like, I don't want to say an adventure, but every day is a new struggle, put it that way. Drug of choice right now is fentanyl. It's not so much to get high, it's to relieve pain. Only physical, but the emotional pain. Like I said, I'm pretty much by myself. After my father had died, I found out my parents were married for 47 or 48 years, and I had found out the day my dad had died that my mom had had a new boyfriend for the past year that neither my family, my dad, nobody knew about. And my dad was in the Marines. He had a service at the VA, or VFW, and she decided that she was going to bring her new boyfriend 2 weeks after my father died to his service, and he had the full military, flag folding from the Marines, and she wanted me to meet him that day, and that was pretty much the start. I was always a mama's boy. My father had worked night shifts for my entire life, so I really saw him on vacations or on the weekends or occasionally when he got up, in the evening to eat dinner or something like that. So, I wasn't really that close to him until later in life when I could enjoy more of hunting and fishing and things like that with him. But her wanting me to meet her new boyfriend that I didn't know about, that hurt more than anything physical that I think I've ever been through. And the way she pressured me into it, I pretty much estranged myself from her. And since 2017, I've probably talked to her maybe 5 times. And I would like to have a family life, but I had surgery back in October and December, one on my hand, one on my leg. In December, I decided to reach out to my mom, and I started to talk to her again, and we're kind of starting a relationship again. But one of the hard parts that I had to find out was she had signed my dad's house over to her new boyfriend, and now they live in it. And my dad had a very large gun collection when he died. She pretty much swindled the system, and probably a $200,000 estate. Between me, my brother, and my sister, we ended up getting an estate check for $423. And she sold over 150 guns, the truck, and he had 43,000 in Vanguard. So I don't know how she went about that, but that's another thing that I struggle with every day. Things that were entitled to me, that should have been passed down to me, things that were mine, things that were my father's, I would never see again, that she given away and sold for pennies on a dollar. So that that really hurt.
Gotcha.
So
Well, I'm sorry, those things happened to you, man. You lost out on some things that was meant for you. Okay, so back to fentanyl. How many bags will you say you use in a daytime?
I was really bad. Before I went to rehab, I was doing probably 2 to 3 bundles a day. I mean, that's 32 to 48 bags a day, doing 6-7 bag shots at a time just to get well, not even to get high. And since I got out of rehab, there's no good way to be a drug addict, but I've gotten my habit way down. I'm probably, on an off day, I'll do 6 to 8 bags. On a bad day, I'll do 10, 12 bags, maybe a bundle. But it all depends on, how my hustle is and how much money I can get, and which is more important, eating that day or getting high. Just as long as I can stay well, keep my head on my shoulders and eat, keep clothing and try to keep warm now. That's the main thing, is keeping warm. It is so cold down here right now.
In the daytime, how much would you say you spend on your drug use?
Anywhere between probably 40 and, well, on a slow day, like if I don't make a lot of money, I maybe spend $30, $40, just enough to keep well. If I have a little come up or something like that, I might go hog wild and spend $100 on drugs a day.
Okay.
But I mean, before I went to rehab, I was spending several $100s a day. I don't do the whole. A lot of people do the whole boosting and stealing and stuff. I don't want to say that I do it better than them, but I'll take a sign and a cup and I'll stand in the road. I won't bother people if they want to give change, $1, $2. One of the first things I do in the morning is you wake up sick. Of course, you have to get well before you can even eat. So, I'll do a bag or 2 in the morning just to get well, and then I'll panhandle and, make enough to get something to eat. And then down here, there's quite a few blessings down here where people, come around and give you clothing, food, and especially on the weekends. If you go hungry on the weekends, you're not trying.
Right now, it's cold as hell, and I saw you walking with a blanket.
Yes.
Are you currently homeless?
I am homeless. I literally sleep wherever I lay, wherever between Lehigh Avenue and Tioga, wherever I pick a spot, I throw a blanket down, throw some cardboard down, and literally sleep on the sidewalk. That's the way it's been for 8, going on 9 months now, since April.
Damn, that's tough life, man, especially during the winter time. How do you stay safe out here?
That is a struggle. Every day staying safe is a struggle. You have people that they want to hate on you, and I've had many things thrown at me. I've been sleeping. I've been beat up while sleeping. I've been kicked, stomped, hit with boards, stones thrown at me, eggs. People, I'm at the lowest point in my life, and people just want to push you down even further. And that's another thing that it's hard to get over, how somebody can look at you at the lowest point of your life and want to put you down even further. How much of a person are they to want to do that to another human being?
Absolutely, I agree. That shows a lot, tells a lot about their character. Due to the fact that you shoot, your fentanyl, have you experienced any abscesses or anything?
Oh, absolutely.
Can you show us a few if
Oh, absolutely. I had surgery. It's on the back here. I had surgery on that in October, and it's still healing. shooting up in the leg. It turned into an abscess, and then I let it go, and my leg swelled up to 4 or 5 times the size. I spent 11 days in the hospital, had 2 surgeries on it.
It's tough.
I have another one here that I ended up letting go too long, and now I have no use of my thumb.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I had surgery on the flexor tendon here. I have no movement in the thumb, up and down. It's always swollen. It always hurts.
Yeah, it looks painful.
It is. It absolutely is. That's another thing. Once you get down here and the drugs get a hold of you, you just don't care about yourself anymore.
Right.
Things just. I've got little abscess, everywhere.
What was the cause of that right there, you said?
This one here, I'd woken up one morning and apparently somebody had thrown a cigarette butt on me, and I woke up to burning flesh.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Damn, I'm so sorry, brother.
It's all part of the struggle down here.
That sickness is what everybody fear.
Yes. That's one of the worst feelings in the world, to be dope sick. It's unlike any other sickness. If you've never felt it, I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy.
Damn. Yeah,
It's not only physical, it's emotional. It just makes you not want to live. It makes you not want to breathe. It makes you just not want to move. And it just makes you think about every bad thing in your life. But once you get that fix, all that goes away.
Wow. Just like that, right?
Just like that, within minutes.
So, what would you say that you have learned from your addiction?
Many things. One, how easily it is to become an addict. It's very easy to become an addict. It's almost impossible without the willpower to stop. And when you think you can, when you think you have it under control, I fooled myself for years into thinking that I was a functioning addict. I went to work, I paid my bills, but at the end of the day, I was still broke, but everything got paid, and then the addiction took over where, okay, well, we'll let this bill slip. Well, we won't pay this month. And then one thing leads to another, and you lose your car, you lose your job, you lose your family, you lose your wife, your girlfriend, whatever the case may be, your kids. I have a 24-year-old daughter that I've only ever talked to on the phone. I have a 4-year-old granddaughter that I've never met, and I didn't know about my daughter until she was almost 18 years old, and that should be reason enough. That goes to show you how hard the struggle is with the addiction. That should have been reason enough for me to just quit and say, hey, I have a child in life. Maybe there's more to it than just me. And once that addiction takes over, you don't care. The problem that I have with the word addiction or being addicted to anything, gambling, smoking, alcohol, is people feel more sorry or more heartfelt, more emotional for an alcoholic than they do for a drug addict. To me, there's no difference. If you're addicted to caffeine, that's a drug. Nicotine, that's a drug. Gambling, that acts like a drug. It releases the same, chemicals in the brain as, me shooting dope, because they need to do it. So what's the difference between me picking up a needle and the next guy picking up a bottle of beer? The only difference is that guy gets more compassion, and I get spit on, treated like crap, and I'm not saying that it's not fair. It's just I chose this life. Nobody chose it for me. It's just, if more people would understand that things like alcoholism and drug addiction go hand in hand, they're the same thing, maybe there would be more help and more compassion instead of looking down on people like me and people on the streets down here. Just because an alcoholic goes to work and, comes home and loses his job because he shows up drunk, we're going to feel sorry for him because, he doesn't know no better. Well, it's kind of the same deal with drugs. Once it gets a hold of you, it doesn't matter what it is. It takes a part of you and it just rips it out. And until you find it again and able to replace it, it's all the same thing to me.
Out here in Kensington, can you trust anybody out here?
I wouldn't trust anybody as far as I could throw them. Your best friend will rob you blind while you're sleeping, and when you wake up, he'll help you look for it. I've seen it happen.
Right.
I've seen drugs being stolen right out of people's pockets, and drugs, money, material things. Best friends stealing from each other, and they help them look for it when they wake up. Be like, oh, well, we don't know what happened to it when, they're sitting there shooting their drugs while they're sleeping. And, I don't know what happened. I was nodding too. And that's best friends doing it to each other.
It's vicious, man. Everybody out for themselves out here.
Absolutely.
Guess, right?
And thievery is off the charts down here.
I hear that.
I mean, literally people... I don't know, keep up with the things that's going on around here, but the looting is out of control.
Yes.
It just, just the way people treat each other down here, it's not right.
Prevention point, they got some shelters around here. Have you thought about getting yourself in any of those places?
I've been trying it's not as easy as you think.
I agree.
I've been trying for 2 months now to get into a shelter. And there's a process that you have to go through. You have to prove that you've been on the street for so long. They call it contacts. You have to, for so many, there's people that come around from Project Home and these other projects and stuff. They have to document you being on the street, for so long before you're even eligible to get in a shelter. That's another one. I mean, there are emergency shelters that you can stay in for a night or two, but to get into somewhere semi-permanent, it's very, very hard. Yeah. If there was more resources, there wouldn't be as many people on the street.
Absolutely right. And these questions is just to get to know you as an individual.
Okay.
What is your favorite color?
It's a toss-up between blue and purple.
That's great to hear. What are some of your favorite foods?
I'm a huge vegetable fan. Yeah. I love sweet potatoes, yams, green beans.
Oh, okay.
And I'll take a nice greasy pork chop over a T-bone steak any day.
Sounds magically delicious to me. Do you have any favorite candies?
I would say probably anything with peanut butter in it.
Okay.
Reese's Pieces, Reese's Peanut Butter Cups,
that's a favorite.
Anything like that.
Now, do you have a favorite band or artist?
I do. It's called ICP, Insane Clown Posse.
Yes, I know them.
Yes, sir. I got several tattoos.
I saw that one tattoo I liked earlier.
That's Jake Jekyll there.
Cool.
And then up above him is the Wraith.
All right.
And then one that everybody loves. It's called the Riddle Box. One thing about Insane Clown Posse is no matter what kind of mood you're in, it always lightens your mood.
All right, that's nice.
Because the things they rap about are nonsense. Things that just don't happen. And if you take them to be for real, then it's just like the people that say, oh, my kid killed another kid because of video games.
Right.
Well, no, your kid killed another kid because your kid's crazy.
Exactly.
No, it always lightens my mood when I hear Insane Clown Posse.
Do you have a favorite ice cream flavor?
I do. Cotton candy.
Oh, cotton candy.
Oh my
I don't
goodness.
think I had cotton candy before.
Oh, go down to Quick Stop, get yourself some cotton candy
Okay.
ice cream. Oh,
I'll check it out. I myself in the audience, we would like to know, what is your zodiac sign?
I am a Libra.
Yo, shout out to the Libras, the coolest people out here, man. You know,
I just made the cutoff, September 23rd.
Libra, we out there. That's what's up. What's your favorite season of the year?
I would have to say springtime,
Why?
because everything's renewed.
I like that.
Everything's coming again. Everything's coming full circle. It's almost kind of like life. Once the wintertime hits and you think, you know, you're at the lowest point of your life, well, things happen and weather gets warmer, buds start to happen, things start to turn green, flowers start to pop.
If you can travel to any country or place in the world, where would you go?
For years, I thought I was mostly Irish. My last name begins with an MC. And a few years ago, my cousin did one of the genealogy, DNAs, and come to find out, I'm more Jewish than I am Irish. So it'd probably be a toss-up between either Ireland or maybe Jerusalem or a place like that, come to find, more about my heritage.
Now, do you have any favorite pastime hobbies?
I love fishing. I love fishing, hunting.
Cool.
Just working on cars, talking about cars.
Now, are you able to do those things while you out here?
Not so much. I mean, occasionally, somebody riding down the street with a flat tire, I'll wave them down. I'll ask them, they need help changing their tire or things like that. But the addiction takes over, and it's not that you don't want to, pursue those things and talk about those things and do those things. It's just, for me personally, most of my time is spent getting the next dollar. Because by the time I get enough for a fix, I'm already working on the next fix, because it could be 10 minutes or it could be 5 hours before I get another $5.
Now, sunrise or sunset, which one are you?
I would say when I was younger, I was a sunset because I was never a morning person. But now I would say sunrise because it's the dawn of a new day. Anything is possible. Today might be the day that I decide it's done, it's over. My addiction's taken enough from me. So every morning, you never know what's going to happen.
Gotcha. Do you have a favorite clothing store?
Not really. I've always been a cheap kind of guy. I get the $10, $12 Walmart jeans, and the most, I've ever paid for anything is probably maybe a nice pair of work boots, maybe $100, $150, but
Right.
I'm never really a fashion bug.
Do you have a favorite restaurant?
I don't know if they're around anymore, but I used to love Bob's Big Boy.
Okay.
I used to love the buffet there. What's the other one? Old Country Buffet.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I like any of the buffets.
Yes.
Because I don't like going and ordering off a menu. I like to go in and choosing my own food.
Now, are you a high school or college graduate?
I have my GED.
Do you have a religious or spiritual belief?
I didn't for years. I was never brought up religiously, but it sounds weird, but since I've been on the street, I think I've found more religion on the street than I have my entire 42 years before that.
So where do you believe you'll go when you die?
If I die tomorrow, probably hell. If I'm given the chance to fully repent for the things I've done and welcome Jesus into my heart and believe in what I want to believe in. Eventually, I'm hoping to go to heaven.
When you look at yourself in the mirror now, what do you see?
I'm sorry.
It's all right, brother.
No, just hearing that,
This is tough, you know. It's deep. You're human. Crying shows that you're strong.
Just doing this with you and
Awesome. Well, that's great to hear.
having somebody to talk to about, things that I've been through and, somebody that seems like they actually care. It's been a long time. I was going to stay strong through the whole thing, but I didn't
It's
make
okay,
it.
brother, I like people who cry. That shows you emotion. I like that. Okay, so we'll skip that question, all right? All right, so if you had 3 wishes in this world, what would your 3 wishes be?
The first one would probably be never start drugs. And that's number 1. I could, wish for, nobody to go hungry and, the typical things like that. But me personally, I'd love to go back and change a lot of things in my life to where I would never jumped off the bridge and never tried to commit suicide, never started drugs. I wish my dad was still around. That was one of my biggest downfalls of me being down here, was his sudden death. And I just wish my entire life growing up, I wish I had a good family life, but I wish it was better. In all my years of existence, I've never once heard my mother or father tell me they love me.
Wow.
And my sister had children at a young age, and to see my mother, dote on them and tell them they love, how much they love them, and never hearing that growing up, that was kind of tough. I mean, we never really had I guess you would say the Brady Bunch kind of family.
Right.
But I mean, we struggled. Like I said, we grew up poor, very poor, in a trailer, 10 by 55 trailer, 5 of us. But that was one of the big struggles, was never hearing, I love you, and, you can do better.
Damn. Yeah, right.
Okay.
So at the end of the night, when you go to sleep, what are some things that you dream about?
Oh, wow. One of the big things I dream about is not being here. Just anywhere else but here. When I wake up in the morning and realize where I am, it's like heartache all over again. And just knowing that I can do something about it if I really wanted to. If I, had the willpower and the motivation to actually do something about it, I know I can do it. It's just a matter of the incentive to want to do it. It's just right now, I just don't feel like there's anything out there for me, because it just seems like the better I did in life, the worse it got. And the worse it got, the worse things got.
If you had a message to send to the world, what would your message be?
Oh, wow. Addiction is one of the hardest things to to break. No matter what it is, whether you love gambling, whether you love drugs, alcohol, sex, it doesn't matter. Whatever your addiction is, that's one thing I think this world could do without, is the word and the feeling of addiction. And that would be one of my 3 wishes, is if I could eliminate addiction for everybody, I would definitely use one of my wishes on that.
Okay guys, we about to wrap up the interview with the lovely Jim. We want to tell him thank you for opening up and sharing some of his deepest, darkest secrets with us. We really appreciate it. And I'll definitely continue to follow up with Jim. He's out here, I'm out here too, do follow-ups. And if you guys would like to sponsor Jim or send any donations for him, Jim, what size you wear in sneakers, jeans, and coats?
I'm a size 13 in the shoe, 36 in the pants, and usually 1 to 2X in the shirt, and at least a 2X in jacket size.
Okay, great. Also, guys, Jim rents a room. It's cold out here. Not a lot of people can do the shelter, and the shelter is very overwhelmed right now with COVID, so everything is backed up. So he rents a room also too, but some days you don't have the money for the room. So if you guys would like to sponsor Jim, pay his rent for his room until he can get back on his feet, you're more than welcome. Drop in the comments. Also, if you would like to send any letters for Jim, the P.O. box is in the description. Send it to AML Films P.O. box in the description, and I'll make sure Jim gets his stuff. And we want to tell you guys thank you for your time watching the interview. I want to tell Jim thank you one more time again. And AML Films, and we out there. Peace.
Thank you guys.